Welcome back to the weekly outlook and reviews. What a great 10 weeks it's been, or should I say 9 leading into the 10 weeks. Just reviewing some of the markets and having a look at some of the outlooks. I just want you guys to remember that when you're trading Forex, it's all very, very important to make sure that you're planning your trades. And when you have those potential setups that finally pop up for you, that you're taking them, okay? Now, trading doesn't need to be difficult. Me personally, I believe you should keep it as simple as possible. And I hope from the last 10 weeks, you've seen how we just simply use price action and market structure to identify potential trade setups. So for the review this week, we're going to be looking at DXY, Pound Aussie Dollar, Euro Yen, Aussie Dollar Yen, Euro USD, Pound USD, Euro Aussie Dollar USD, CAD Yen, USD CAD, New Zealand USD, and gold. As I say all the time, guys, please, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe, like, turn on notifications so that you know when my future videos are popping out. So this is going to be the final one of the episodes 10, and we'll be getting on to some new content in the near future, okay? So for the dollar index, as you can see from last week, guys, we were looking at the structure of this market in an exhaustion phase. After the exhaustion phase on this market, we was anticipating price push back to the downside. Now we can clearly see that's happened. What we'll be looking for continuing on into next week, potentially the week after, which will be the second week in July, is a continued pullback on this market, looking for price to find some sort of exhaustion, and then looking to rally this market back to the downside. I do personally think we have one more push on this market, so it'll be interesting to see how the price pulls back and plays out. As you can see, the last 4 days of last week, prices failed to continue to push to the upside, but the volume in these candles is indicating at the moment that the structure of the market hasn't found a direction in terms of continuing back to the downside. So let's see what happens. I'm only looking for sells on this pair at the moment until the market structure tells me otherwise. So the next pair that we'll take a look at is Pound Aussie Dollar. We had a great move from this pair from last week. We anticipated price action to break this channel, which was an exhaustion phase on this market, and back to the upside. And as you can see, we've had a strong rally back down. Now, personally, I'm looking for another push on this pair back to the downside. I'll be looking for price to exhaust back into structure, and then look for the first opportunity of a lower high formation before a continuation to the downside. Expecting continued pound weakness moving forward next week. We'll see what happens. But my prediction at the moment is a slight pullback on Pound Aussie Dollar and then a continuation to the downside. Euro Yen, we had a very nice bounce off of the 129.2 level last week. As you can clearly see, price moved up, should I say the week before, price moved up off of this level, indicating strong bullish pressure. We can see when price came to this level before, we had a strong rally to the upside. To me, this is a nice double bottom of the previous structural low. We had a huge push to the upside and then was expecting continued move, which we've had. In all honesty, I'm expecting Euro to continue pushing to the upside next week. So I'll be looking for the first opportunities or potential opportunities, price to pull back, potentially making double bottoms of these previous structures with a continuation to the upside. And if we have continued bullish momentum, then I'll be looking for slight exhaustions, wicks to be created, and then using my lower time frames to sniper entry back to the upside. So for Euro Yen, I'm up, and I'll be looking for sells only on this pair. Aussie Dollar JPY, another good move from the support zone around 74.15. And we can see price stalled at this level for a long period of time. Now remember, we had this consolidation, or let's move this consolidation up, shall I say. We were just looking at the consolidation like this. We finally had a breakout of this structure and then a break back in, and then finally bears saying that they're taking over this market. Now, clearly, I'm not going to be buying into any support. I'm looking for price to break structure, indicate bearish pressure, and then look for these pullbacks, as I just mentioned on the previous pair. So we've had this rally to the downside. We see price stalled at this level for a good 4 to 5 days, and then we had a strong push to the upside, indicating bullish pressure. Now, what we'll be looking for in this pair is continued up movement and continued up movement. Now, we do have a strong resistance level here, so we'll be looking for price to break this structure, retest it, and continue to the upside. So my predictions on Aussie Dollar JPY next week is up, just like Euro Yen is up. Euro USD, very interesting. To be honest with you, this is a very similar structure to what we saw in Euro New Zealand dollar as of last week. See, we've had a strong rally to the upside, expecting a pullback high-low formation before continuation up. Now, it's not clear that we're going to have this high-low formation formed, so what I'll be looking for next week, while this phase is in the distribution phase, is to see price push down, retest structure, and then look for a sell back to the downside, or break structure, retest support, and then look for a buy back to the upside. Patiently waiting for price action to give me more evidence before I take a dab at this one. So Euro USD, my predictions is to see price break even to the upside, retest and go up, or break to the downside, retest and go down. Preferably, I'd look for sells. I'm looking at the market structure, be filling some of this canvas here to the right, and with the way price is moving at the top, we call this a distribution phase, collecting orders, enticing continued buys into the market, collecting sell orders before we have a false breakout, break back in and sell back to the downside. So let's see how this plays out moving forward next week. And this is Euro USD. Pound USD, we expected the support zone around 27.60 to hold last week. And I'm continuing, and my bias is to see continued strength to the downside, okay? What I'd like to see is the dollar push back down to some of these support zones, around 25.32, and see if we can fill this range. To be honest with you, I'm expecting some sort of dollar weakness, but I don't think it's going to come just yet. I think at this moment in time, with what's happening with the pound, I think we're going to see more dollar strength against the pound. So I'd like to see a push to the downside. With regards to buys, I'm not looking to buy anything off of support. I'm going to be waiting to see that the pound has gained strength again, breaking to the upside of this strong support zone around 27.64. And then I'll be looking for just a clean retest or a high-low structure before I look to buy. So not going to be trapped into any buys. Sells, I'm only looking for on pound USD. Euro Aussie dollar, I'm expecting price to continue up next week, funny enough. We can see we've had a strong push to the upside, and now we've had an exhaustion phase in this market. I'll see how price starts to push back down to some of these support zones around 60.80, see if we can get a bounce off of this for a double bottom of what was once a strong support zone, turning into a double bottom of the previous structural higher low, looking to take this market back to the upside. If not, I'll be looking for signs of exhaustion in and around these areas on the market, and then I'll be looking to buy this back up to this resistance zone. Knowing that this is a strong resistance zone at 64.18, I won't be looking to buy into this area if I don't have enough range to the upside. So it's always very important to remember that, guys. If you're taking buys or sells, make sure you have enough range to go break even before you tap into support resistance zones, okay? Give yourself the best possible opportunity to maximize your winning potentials, okay? So this is Euro Aussie dollar. My bias on Euro Aussie dollar is up as of now, just looking to see how price reacts around these support zones. And if I get the evidence, looking for the buys at high-low formation. So the next pair we'll take a look at is Aussie dollar USD. Now, we expected this price to push to the upside last week, and as you can see, guys, we've literally smashed through what was once a strong support zone at 70.05. I'm expecting continued bullish momentum on this pair. I'm expecting the dollar to lose strength against some of these other pairs and look for this continued move to the upside. It'll be very interesting to see how this happens. We have a breakout of the structure and a close above, which is a good indication of bullish strength. If we have a break back down, then I'll be waiting to see what price action does, considering we may have a sideways moving market before we have a continuation to the upside. So for Aussie USD, Aussie dollar USD, I'm looking for buys and looking for confirmation of potential retests or higher low formations. The next pair that we'll take a look at is CAD yen. Now, remember, guys, we spoke about this last week, okay? We spoke about structure, breaking out of these areas here, moving sideways. We finally had a breakout to the downside. I said that this structure looks like it's down structure because we made a lower high formation in and around this area here. But I did also mention that we have a very strong support zone. After the false breakout of this structure, we have the break back in and we have the retest of this structure. And as you can see, last week we had 3 strong days to the upside and huge confirmation here to buy this structure back to the upside. My predictions on this pair is to see continued bullish strength up to some of these strong resistance zones around 83.27. I'll be looking for evidence for us to pull back, creating a higher low formation before we have a continuation back to the upside. So for CAD yen, my forecast is up, and we'll look for confirmation of buying opportunities moving forward to next week. USD CAD, as you can see, we predict the price to go back, pushed back to the downside last week. We did want to pull back, but we had this continued very strength to the downside. My predictions now is to see price pull back for an exhaustion before we have one more push to the downside. Let's see how this plays out next week. I feel that we'll have to wait at least to the second week in July before we have our second push. If not, and price action gives us the evidence of sells, and we'll take the sells, as I'm still expecting dollar weakness. New Zealand dollar, you can see we've had this strong rally to the upside. This was something that we anticipated after the bounce off of the 64.86 level. We can see price came into this making a double bottom of this structure, and we've had just huge rally to the upside. I'm expecting exhaustion on this market. However, I'm bullish. Again, expecting the market to continue pushing to the upside. If the dollar continues to weaken, then we will see these moves happening, no doubt. It's just about how we're going to get into these markets. Are we looking for retests? Are we using our lower time frames to our advantage? Of course, that all depends on your strategy, guys. But my prediction on New Zealand dollar USD is to see the continued move to the upside. I'll be looking for a high-low formation, a retest of previous structure, which was either once resistance in and around these areas here, and then, of course, looking for the first buy opportunity possible. So New Zealand dollar USD, my predictions is up. Final pair that we'll take a look at is gold this week, and my predictions on this pair is to see this market push back to the downside. Okay, now we can see that we have here no information to the left, indicating to us why price is starting to fizzle out. If we just look at this market structure, we can see that it's pretty much overextended to the upside. The buy opportunities is just going to be a simple break and retest of the structure, but personally, I want to see price pushing back to the downside. So for next week, I'm looking for gold to fill some canvas to the right. I'm not looking for any buy opportunities. I'm looking for the first signs of sales, and I'll be looking to take this market back to the downside and see if we can tap into some of these previous resistance support zones as some first targets. So that's a weekly outlook, so I hope you enjoyed it, guys. As I said, this will be the final episode. Until next time, take care, enjoy your Sunday, and all the best trading. Bye for now.